night, Giants and Eagles, and a crazy ending to this one. Philly found themselves down 11, just over 6 minutes left. Carson Wentz leading 2 fourth-quarter touchdown drives. And the Eagles just barely edge out Big Blue. They get win number 2. They move into first place for now in the NFC East. Here's quarterback Carson Wentz after the win.
We said, hey, I mean, there wasn't a lot of time, but we said, hey, there's enough time. There's enough time. We got to just keep believing and just take it one play at a time. Obviously, we were in turbo on the ball, 2-minute mode the rest of the game. But, I mean, the same thing that I echo every game when we're down. Hey, just keep believing, just one play at a time, and the big play is going to hit. It's going to happen, and John had the big one on that first drive, and obviously Boston the second drive. And guys just keep believing and keep rallying together, and that's what it's going to take to win a lot of these ball games.
All right, Brandon, you look at last night's game. Was it more about the Eagles coming back or the New York Giants blowing it?
Definitely about the Eagles coming back. I love watching Carson Wentz last night. It was one of those games where you tune in and you're like, look at this division. We've been crushing this division. It's the worst division in history of sports. And then you look at the records like, is this going to be a good game? I really enjoyed the game. There were so many storylines. I was thinking about, wow, now is this going to turn into a 3-team division race? You know, now if the Giants win, are we going to be talking about the Giants potentially winning division? You got Carson Wentz playing lights out at times. I thought as his playmakers made plays, he got better. He overcame the offensive line play. You finally saw those young wide receivers step up and make some key plays down the stretch. And then on the other side, there was some of the Giants blowing it, of course. You know, Evan Ingram, he got to step up and be the guy that they drafted him to be. He can easily be a premier tight end in this league, but in those big moments, he plays little. So I enjoyed watching the game, Nick. There were so many storylines. I don't know about you, but I was like, man, is this going to turn into a 3-team race now? But it didn't.
Evan Ingram will be the guy they drafted him to be when he's a Patriot next year after they get him for a conditional 7th-round pick and he turns his career around. This game is more about the Eagles because, let's be honest, every game the Giants play is going to either be wholly irrelevant or only relevant because of their opponent. The next time the Giants are a competitive team, they will have a new general manager and a new quarterback. I don't know if they'll have a new coach or not. But the Giants don't, for all intents and purposes, matter in the 2020 football season. The reason the Eagles matter a little bit is because this year, while it's still going to be something of a lost year, whether they win the division or not, is going to be a hinge year for Carson Wentz. And last night was a great example of it. He did make some great plays. That pass to Boston Scott was a 10 out of 10.
Perfect.
It was absolutely elite. That is a perfect pass in any situation, much less the situation where they were in, which was, if you weren't watching the game, they had a 1st and goal from the 2. Kelsey gets a face mask penalty to where all of a sudden it's a 1st and goal from the 17, and they only have 40 seconds. So time, score situation, and degree of difficulty of pass, that's perfect. But in the same game, Carson also threw a horrifying interception inexplicably that took points off the board for Philly. And so what I'm interested in with Philadelphia Wilds is, who is the real Carson Wentz? Last night we didn't get an answer, but you saw kind of the good and the bad of him. So to me, this was more about Philadelphia preventing their season from going totally off the rails and Wentz having a nice rallying moment like he almost had last week against Baltimore, by the way, when they were down 16, almost came all the way back, and see if they can salvage something from this season.
Nick, you know that flight that Captain Sully landed in the East River?
Yeah.
No, Hudson River. Got my rivers confused.
Yeah.
That's what that game reminded me of. If you got off that flight and someone asked you, like, hey, how was it? Like, well, I'll be honest with you, it ended really well, but it was a little hairy there. Right? It wasn't fantastic. Carson Wentz had one play, and if we can run it, Katanik, and I'll quote you what Troy Aikman said while watching this play on the replay. All of you young quarterbacks watching on your couch, don't do this. You will not finish the game as the quarterback. So then I started to think, man, we're getting close to Jalen Hurts time here. This is insane. Shortly after this, he threw his league-leading 10th interception, and next thing you know, he wins the game. So this guy, Brandon, you may have liked the roller coaster. I don't think Eagles fans do. I think Carson Wentz needs to believe in himself a little less. Just do normal stuff, dude. Stop watching Mahomes highlights.
Absolutely.
Well,
I mean, it's 1st and 10. I can see if the game was on the line.
Right. Yeah, absolutely right.
All right, so we discussed Carson Wentz. I'd be remiss if I didn't discuss the opposing quarterback, Daniel Jones, and the play we're all talking about this morning. Daniel Jones taken off in the 3rd, nothing but green grass in front of him. Watch out, buddy. Watch out for literally nothing. Danny Dimes trips up just shy of the goal line. He got 80 yards. The guy needed 88 for the touchdown. Patrick Mahomes chimed in with this tweet. I mean, I can't even say anything because I would never be able to run that far either. Brandon, was Daniel Jones' 80-yard run a highlight or a low light?
It's definitely a low light, but I'm like Patrick Mahomes. I would never be in this position. This was not my game. And I think that's probably why he fell, because when you get an open field, the only thing you think about is, wow, that guy on the other side that we were scouting, he ran a 4.25. This guy ran a 4.3. He's going to come get me. It's just unfamiliar territory for guys like him, even myself.
Oh, that's interesting.
So it just freaks you out when you're in open space. I actually did this in like Monday Night Football against the Jets. Cromartie chasing me and I just tripped. I can get it. I understand it.
Nick, I'm going with both. I'm calling it a highlight, low light, maybe, or a high, low light. It's 3 other ones to think about in your category. One, when John Morant misses a dunk. Those amazing missed John Morant's on highlight, low light. 2, old Kansas City, Bo Jackson strikes out, breaks the bat over his knee. Highlight, low light. Daniel Jones joins the club now.
All right, so this is obviously a low light. It's going to be on, do we still do blooper reels, or was that just a thing from the 80s?
Yeah.
If there are blooper reels, it's going to be on it for this year and honestly for the next few years of the NFL. It's a meme now. And a little window into how I was watching the game. My daughter was with me, even though it was late at night, because she was sitting with me and my wife watching the debate. We had the game on mute and had the debate with the sound on. I didn't have my eyes on the screen when this happened. And my daughter says, Daddy, that football player just did a somersault. And I said, what? And I looked up and I saw the replay of Daniel Jones flipping about. So, yeah, that's a low light for anybody ever. And Brandon, once again, proving his worth as the nicest man on sports television. Like, oh, don't feel bad. I once did this against Cromartie. Someone find me that tape, because I guarantee it doesn't quite look like this one from old Danny Drops.
I didn't fall. I just ran out of bounds. And the general manager walked up to me the next day and asked me the question. He said, how did you do that?
I gracefully, like a gazelle, just leaped out of bounds. Again, Philly with the win. They now take over first place in the weakest division in the history of sports. Take a turn, talk some Seahawks now. Is this the weekend they get handed their first loss? The Cardinals think so, but do we? Next. First things first.